Cascadoo.
Nightmares of the slave trade. How did African slavery begin? One may ask. It was the suggestion of one Bartholomew de las Casas. Where is that? How did African slavery begin? One may ask. It was the suggestion of one Bartholomew de las Casas. Being disturbed by the inhumane treatment Amerindians met and the failure of the new laws in 1542 that got him upset, a suggestion to replace that needed labor that was lost was through the importation of Africans as slaves at any cost. Africans were brought to the New World for one reason: to labor as slaves for the massive sugar plantation. To understand this horrific journey our ancestors made, we shall carefully examine the transatlantic slave trade. After being captured and placed in barracoons at the fort, we were left standing in chains until we were bought, being branded like cattle and loaded onto the slaver was the beginning of our horrifying journey, a living nightmare. Stripped naked and chained together by our feet and hand, we were placed lying in the hold on untreated wood and sand. Defecating and urinating in that set position increased and worsened our condition. Some of the diseases that Africans died from were dysentery, smallpox, and malnutrition. In an effort to claim huge sums from insurance, Africans were tossed overboard in abundance. In an attempt to escape this dreadful ride, it is alleged many Africans themselves committed suicide. This journey stripped us of our dignity, pride, and honor. But the worst was to come, which was the sale to the planter. Before Africans were sold, we were oiled to keep our muscles shining. This was done through a process called seasoning. After arriving at the ports in the New World, Africans were sorted before being sold through a process called scrabble or auction, then taken to complete our nightmare at the plantation. On the plantation, the treatment was even worse. The color of our skin became our eternal curse. Long hard hours Africans had to toil. Without any rest, we tilled and prepared the soil. This new lifestyle was one we did not appreciate. Africans were treated as though we were inanimate. Some of us succumbed to this treatment, while others chose to revolt. Using passive or active methods, the system began to jolt. Some Africans also engaged in the act of maroonage, and we returned at night to the plantation causing a carnage. It became a liability to have Africans as slaves in our possession, and an act was passed in 1807 to grant us our freedom. With the passage of the Emancipation Act in 1833, Africans were given the opportunity to once again be free. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are hearing it for yourself. Cascadoo, the Caribbean New Voices International, they're here to tell you about a fantastic production and presentation that they're having. And of course, on the 18th, that poem must be repeated. You know, so yeah, on the 18th it must be promoted. But let us talk about this decision of yours to bring about this awareness in terms of the spoken word. And tell us, when do you start, how do you start? Tell us about who, first of all, introduce yourself and introduce your other two colleagues here, and tell us what we can expect this week coming here.
My name is Mtima Solwazi. Good afternoon, everyone. I have with me today Dwayne Morgan and Eddy, the original one. Absent from the vocal team is Anthony Bansfield, and he was around this morning, but he had to go and support some business. And Motion, when the Bradford, she's coming in tomorrow morning, please God. And OC, Manchild Allen, he is in Tobago at this time. They form the team Vocal, Voices of Canadian Artists Across Latitudes. Now this production, Cascadoo, Caribbean New Voices International Festival of Spoken Word, is a production of the Oral Tradition Youth Foundation in collaboration with the Poet Society of Trinidad and Tobago and Poetic Guide. Now, the Oral Tradition Youth Foundation, we have been around a while doing spoken word events. We have a publication, a newsletter magazine out, and we started a poetry slam series in 2008. So, Anthony and myself have been collaborating since 2005 to work towards this, what we have in here this week, this Cascadoo Festival. You know, this festival will comprise of workshops conducted at Nalis, the EV Room, Monday to Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The workshops will be conducted by the vocal team and other facilitators like Ms. Joanne Gale Johnson, Chris Ringo, Rachel Colimo, Freedom Collective, and myself. Then Monday afternoon we have an open mic. Well, it's a festival launch, so vocal will be featured along with other local poets. On Thursday afternoon, well, Monday afternoon from 2 to 5 p.m. On Thursday afternoon, from 3 to 5, we are at Woodford Square, now the People's Parliament. Everything happens at Woodford Square. And we are bringing an awareness to the population, right, at Woodford Square from 3 to 5. We're calling that segment Guerrilla Poetry. Then Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., we're going to the Panyard Pandemonium. We cannot say Chanda because the land of steel band, and we have visitors coming here, and we're not exposing them to our steel band culture. So we're going to have word in the yard, a combination of spoken word and steel band. And we close off Friday evening in fine style at Normandy under the trees from 7 to 10. Now all the other events are free and open to the public. At Normandy, just a small cover charge of $50 at the door. Right? And that's what Cascadoo spoken word festival is about.
Alright. So ladies and gentlemen, you heard it for yourself. You heard and you heard the level of poetry that just was presented to you in terms of the spoken word. You understand the depth, you know, in terms of, I mean, it's not just the word spoken, but the contents. You're actually being educated, as the case may be, via the spoken word. And that, I thought, is the most beautiful aspect of this. But I want you to introduce one of your colleagues, and they can, you know, bring us a few something, and let's hear what they have to say.
So, Dwayne, so you have Dwayne Morgan, member of the vocal team. You will do a speech.
All right, good afternoon. This is Dwayne Morgan, and very happy to be here. So, you know, as we're talking about, you know, slavery, you know, I always look at how that legacy still impacts and affects today, because it's one thing where a lot of people say, oh yeah, that was a long time ago, and they don't realize how so much of that is a part of our lives today. So, to be a gift, born into this world, male, packaged in black skin, is to be constantly reminded that your life is disposable, that it lacks meaning and value and isn't protected by the law. You live with the knowledge that justice is a drunk that will not be served. We, the black gifts, are the first to be accused and the last to be believed. We are the guilty until proven innocent, the aggressor despite the evidence. We are the hoops for which loopholes are made. We are the sambos, the puppets, our value determined by the worth we bring our puppeteers. So dance, Negro, dance. Rap, black boy, rap. Run, Negro, run. But what about those of us who are regular, who are average, who don't have gifts or talents that the world wants or needs, who are just their bodies, packaged in black skin, stuck on modern-day plantations, being abused at will, and people wonder why we seldom smile, and it seems like our looks could kill. We are the ones who put basketballs in our sons' palms before they can walk and only dribble, with the hope that they will grow to dribble beyond their packaging. We are the ones that make elevators go quiet, purses and loved ones clenched tighter. We are the deer that stare down the barrel of guns, but there's no license needed to hunt us. We are the suspicious packages at the airport or in any store with goods that we aren't supposed to be able to afford, whether in a hoodie or a suit, accused of driving while black in minivans or hoops. We are the black licorice discarded at Halloween, the silhouette used for target practice by the police, the black men who spend their days wanting nothing but to be human with respect and dignity. So this is for every Trayvon, Jaquan, Marcus, Jordan, Dwayne, for every black man considered a nigger despite having a name, for everyone who has ever felt the pain of race, for the empty seat beside a black man on the train, for we are the ones who meet death on cold asphalt, discarded like roadkill. We are the ones, worthless bodies packaged in black skin that nobody seems to want. We are the voiceless. We are the ones.
My gosh, I'm telling you, You know, and I'm hoping persons out there listening to this understand that the African community has come a long way, but still there are hurdles left to surmount. My brother, introduce your other guest.
Eddy, the original one.
Hello. How's everybody out there doing? Actually, I think I just want to make a small explanation just going into this piece. This piece is called My 2 Cents. And what was very interesting was when Obama first came into his presidency, like everybody in Canada, that even though we were in Canada at the time, we weren't able to vote, but everybody around the world felt like they had some kind of participation in voting, in voting for there. And then we in Canada, we had an election probably like a month later, and we had the lowest voter turnout in the history. But everybody else is like, we won when Obama won. So this piece is called My 2 Cents, and it's just on now. If you want my 2 cents, vote, and don't let them watch sex on TV. Don't let them watch sex on TV. We don't want these kids being perverts, but you can turn on the TV and let them watch the murders, or just buy them video games and let them practice the murder. Or just send them out on these city streets dressed in hoodies and just watch them get murdered. But I don't see nothing wrong with sex on TV as long as you don't fall off. And I believe that I like sex more than I like murdering people, but don't judge me. It's a life choice. And another thing, Trailer Trash America done shaved her bush and got herself a black man, but I still see the probability of problems prolonging the planning process of one's personal prosperity. No grants, no government bailouts. I work for a living. Recession or a period of reduced economic activity, the name of my pocketbook's unauthorized biography. I'm not sure if I want Denzel or Will Smith to play me in the movie, but tell the tax man, get your hands out my pocket, man. #1 on the bestseller list if Oprah mentions it. But that's one for the books that will never get read, just thrown at you. Just download it on your smartphone, because it's the... and those who have missed it, check out YouTube and stream for the video. 30,000 hits in the last 5 minutes, and I'm telling you, vote. The world that we live in real time, a processed reality broadcast back to you on TV, where you too can be Paris Hilton's BFF, hang with the Kardashians and have a baby by Kanye West, be conscious like KRS, poetic like Mos Def, right? What's left? Hoping that Obama isn't killed so that he doesn't end up as the next dead president on the American dollar bill. But who's paying attention, and what is it costing you? Vote. Because housing that's affordable doesn't have the same ring as profitability as ka-ching. So now revitalization has more coffee shops and condos on corners than liquor stores and ghettos, and I guess that's a good thing for the economy. Probably just a con on you and me as they condos and they're getting condos, but better cost of living. But what does it cost to live in the skybox where you don't even feel like a player or even part of the game? Trying to keep up with the Joneses that don't even acknowledge you or know your name, but you should be working to live and not living to work, and that's probably just me being cliche. Vote. And if you ask for my 2 cents, it will cost you 5 cents like grocery bags, because my 2 cents is valuable. And in these hard economic times, I just can't afford to give it away, but don't harper on it. The lesser of two evils, sex on TV or the lowest voter turnout in history. See, this is Canada, the place that some of us call home. But my real question is, when are we going to get a black prime minister of our own?
Oh, wow. Wow, the real question, eh? One good thing though, you had a black appointed governor?
Yeah.
Governor General?
Yeah, Governor General, yeah.
The lady from Haiti?
Yeah. Yes.
Is she still Governor General?
No. She, last year she went on? Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'm really hoping that this production will be all, Cascadoo will be a tremendous success, that people will come out. I want to encourage TNT to go out Monday, to go out this weekend, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, at Nallis. Friday, you have the big show that they're having under the trees at Normandy. Go out and be part of this. I think it's important. But I wanted to ask you to ask my brother here, as I'm saying, to do the number he did in respect to, I'm not sure if he called it the journey. Yeah, it's a journey.
That's not what I called it, but I just tied it into what you had said when you called it.
Well on. So do the journey. I'm calling it the journey.
No, this is called the journey. On your mark, get set, and so it begins on the dark continent of enlightenment, the place from where all history comes. A people who were so ahead of their time they were sending text messages when they only had drums. Out of the starting blocks, we are off to an early lead as world travelers and explorers, sharing our philosophies, creating universities and structures that would make the world stop and wonder before passing the baton on to the relay's next runner in the Caribbean Sea, who lost a bit of ground through the Middle Passage and slavery, but nobody said that the race would be easy. So for over 400 years, they continued to run, limping through the pain, knowing that cramps will come and it's going to hurt sometimes, but you've got to focus and keep going through the plantations, the lynchings, and the hate, even when the spectators in the stands call you other than your name, because it is not what we are called, but what we answer to that is important. Victory is an uphill climb, and we've got to continue to rise like Lazarus, knowing that even the slightest of steps can mean so much. Sister Rosa Parks sat down to stand up, so I can't give up as I try to make sense of this baton that's been placed in my hair while I struggle just to be accepted as a man in this world that seems more concerned with whether or not I'm endowed down south, when I'm all about being endowed in the places where it counts, in my family and my community, because knowledge of self is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, you cannot reap a harvest. Victory will come to those who choose to run the hardest, and it really doesn't matter if you know the secret, because not everyone will believe enough in themselves to do something with the information. No one was made to be a spectator in life. We are all the active participants in the race to fulfill our destiny. So when the baton comes, take it and run, because failure isn't a crime, but aiming too low is. Because if you reach for the top of a tree, you might never get off the ground. But if you shoot for the stars, you might at the very least get to the top of that tree. And I might not get to the finish line with you, but I will continue to strive to carve out my own space before passing this baton on to a new generation of runner, confident in victory, because success, it runs in my race.
All right, I'm hoping that all the devices are fully charged and fully on. My brother, I am impressed with this. I'm impressed with what you just did a while ago. I'm hoping that both of you are here on the 18th, so we can really bring this forward as part of that massive program organized by the Ministry of Diversity, because I think it is something important that we understand the pain, the hate, the negative situation where you want a human being but more commodity, where you want merchandise, where there was no self-respect, there was no self, as the case may be, you were just property, and that to me is so important. So I'm hoping that you're here for the 18th. I'm hoping that you pull this together and you have 2 or 3 of the voices come forward so we can do something very, very special with the Ministry of Diversity under the distinct leadership of the producer, Mr. Davlin Thomas. So my brother, tell us about your program for this week here, and give the nation. We open the lines for calls. Anyone want to call us at 222-8255. That's 222-8255. Call us if you want to talk about what's happening here, or if you want to talk about the positive vibration you're hearing from the spoken word. Call us and let us hear your point of view. Call us. Be constructive. Let us start a constructive discussion. My brother.
Yes, it's called Cascadoo Caribbean New Voices International Festival of Spoken Word. And we are having this 1-week festival, Monday to Wednesday. We're having 3 days of workshops, 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Nalis EV Room. Monday afternoon from 2 to 5, we're out on the arcade at Nalis. That's the front part on Abercrombie Street. And we're having a launch, a showcase for the festival. So vocal will be showcased along with other artists. Thursday afternoon, we're at Woodford Square, 3 to 5, Guerrilla Poetry, open mic. Thursday night,
Guerrilla Poetry?
Guerrilla Poetry.
Explain.
Guerrilla Poetry, we're asking, you're coming out to speak. Remember the days of old, I was telling Dwayne and
Isn't that storytellers long time?
Yeah, and what this Calypsonian was supposed to bring to us, the Calypsonian of old we know was not on party, was on people, was the voice for the people, right? So you're coming out there and they're saying what's on your mind, getting off your chest. You have to, people that don't have space to say anything, push them out. Hey, also, don't say anything. Come Thursday, now you come in a cuss and say, and as I junior, but they come in poetic style, in intelligence, and see what you have to say.
Well, let me just say, as the booking agent for my daddy, you're not booked to come in this program. Which night?
Unfortunately, I'm out of the nights now.
You're on the night now?
Yeah, I'm doing 4 to 7, but we could arrange to have you come back in before that day. Yeah. When is it set for again? Thursday?
Guerrilla Poetry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you can talk for them if you want to come and Covered live on Woodford Square.
I hope the boss is here. I hope marketing push now.
An option,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then
But that sounds interesting.
yeah, we're going to the Panyard Tuesday night.
The Panyard?
Yeah,
Which Panyard?
Pandemonium in Belmont.
Is that right?
We're sailing.
This is Panmont, you know.
Well, that's good.
Good.
So we're having wood in the yard.
Uh-huh.
And then Friday we close off in style under the trees. And
And Normandy. All right.
7 to 10. And that's the only one that have a cost like $50. The others are
It's reasonable. People,
that's good. That's
you know,
good.
where they can get tickets.
No, they pay the gate.
Pay the gate.
Yeah, normally, yes.
But is anybody can contact if they need further information?
479-4510.
That's 479-4510.
Is there a special starting time?
At normally 7 p.m.
7
The
p.m.
night programs are 7 p.m. 7 to 10.
Okay.
And I need to really say that we want to thank our sponsors, our platinum sponsor normally, and Nalis. Nalis have been supporting our efforts for inception. You know, we want to also thank the Boris Corporation for use of Woodford Square. Thank Pandemonium for getting on board. You know, and we want to thank the Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism.
Excellent.
On that note, Harvey, I want to add something. Let us call homage to our freedom. As we celebrate Emancipation Day and reflect on our ancestors, we see their struggles and sufferings at the hands of the oppressors. Tears sometimes come to our eyes, or we begin to get angry. But we must rest assured they suffered for you and for me. This day didn't come about by a mere gesture of good faith. That is why each and every one of us must show homage and appreciate the path that was paved for a bright and prosperous future by many dedicated persons who came from Africa. As we look into the windows of history, we can be proud to be associated with this legacy. With such persons as Bilal, the first Muazzin of Islam, Mansa Musa and Uthman Dan Fodio, they were all African. Most of you might not be familiar with those persons, so it is your duty to research our history for these reasons. Let us recognize some persons closer to our era, like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., and Nelson Mandela, Bob Marley, Marcus Garvey, Rap Brown, and Stokely Carmichael, are all African persons who continued this cycle. Pay respect to our history. Right here, this beautiful Twin Island, we have Dr. Eric Williams and Uriah Butler, who kept up the struggle of the African. C.L.R. James and George Padmore, we must make reference. Also, Eddy Sylvester Williams, who, in the 1900s, held the first Pan-African Conference. Audrey Jeffers and Dame Hilda Baino, who became the Governor General of Grenada. Jean Pierre, Beryl McBurney, all daughters of Africa. We have seen the rise to prosperity in this land by many Africans, presidents, prime ministers, and even politicians. To the African professionals, entrepreneurs, and leaders, it is indeed a fact that because of your efforts, many others and I are proud to be black. Proud to be black. Proud to be black, proud to be black, we must be proud to be black.
Excellent indeed.
I don't actually have a poem on this, but I kind of have an opinion, so we'll see what happens. I fly back, so nobody can beat me. I think basically, especially when we're talking about looking back at our history, because like I've kind of come to a point where a lot of us, we've worked on different programs with in trying to create different community Black History Month groups and stuff like that. And for me, when I turned 18, it was kind of like where I kind of rediscovered myself as an African man, because like even though I was born in Canada, but I grew up here in Trinidad. I went to Palo. I went to Palo, and in that time, like basically, there's certain things that basically where it was the same issue that I had when I went to school in Canada. Is that basically even when we talk about history, that basically it was really funny where I actually didn't know who Martin Luther King is, and I'm like, we're living in a Black country, or I didn't know who my, like basically, and supposedly, so I have all my books from secondary school, right, still up to this day, and realized that that stuff was actually in the book, but we never covered it, right? And so basically, as we talk about this, basically, and basically, a lot right now, basically, is older people kind of just basically kind of arguing among themselves. But it's really, I think the whole point for me, this is my personal opinion, right? You know, everybody, whatever, right? That it's basically the whole reason why we need to do this is so that the kids, so that whatever, because there's people out there and there's forces out there that definitely are working against us, right? In a certain way that basically that our kids, if they don't know, because really at this point basically I don't really try and get into like arguments with people, because basically you've grown, so basically I'm not going to change your mind. So I'm not into okay, this might sound, I'm not into mental masturbating. Yeah, right. Like basically, it's about teaching our children so that they don't end up going through the stuff that, because there were people that, and they will name it. They will have different names through the centuries. They'll have different names of how they might call certain things. Even if you look at what's going on in America right now, where they're trying to the same things that how many people fought for during Brown versus Brown, like they're trying to revoke those things, or even the whole things with voting and whatever, they're trying to revoke it, and they're calling it, they have these different names for it. So the same is, so just because it, like, so basically it's not just here in Trinidad where basically this is there's a reason why that we have to teach our children certain things so that they understand, so when they can actually recognize when people, because as I said, they'll change the name of it, but they're still trying to oppress you and basically and get into this and get into this whole thing of basically taking away your rights, your basic human rights as a human being in this world.
Let me make this point to you, and you're making a solid point, and let me say this further. Karen called a while ago and spoke about, let us not look at the pain we went through, let's not focus on that, but focus on emancipation. But how can you focus on emancipation if you don't know what you went through? Why
what you were emancipated from?
What you been emancipated from? And therefore the focus must always be what caused you to have to be emancipated. You know?
Also, Harvey, we must not take a granted and feel that this was done because they like us. It was no just and no good faith. It became economically unviable.
And it was economics.
Yes,
actually, well, even slavery in itself wasn't because they didn't like people. It's because, oh, we didn't like you because you were black. It was an economic thing. Basically, white people were slaves first. Then you had other people that were slaves first, and they just did not work out economically. So when they actually got to the Africans, it's like, all right, this is a good investment. That's literally what it was. And it's just that it's gone on to the whole thing of prejudice and whatever. It was all economics. It was business. It was business.
But that's to me, it was the worst in the African community. My brother.
I think I would just, in reference to Karen's points, I think if you take for an example a man and a woman who get into an argument on Monday night, the next morning the man wakes up and he's rough with his kids, and the kids don't know why dad is being rough, and he goes out on the road and he have road rage, he's honking at everybody, driving fast, that sort of thing. He have a bad day at work, and now he's at the point where he doesn't even understand why he's having a bad day. He doesn't understand that it's connected to the argument that he had the night before with the woman. If we don't understand what happened before, we never understand what's happening in the present. So you always have to be looking at what has happened behind the scenes in the past in order to create the situation that I now exist in. So you always have to have one foot in the back to understand what the next foot is doing in the present. And you keep moving forward, but you always have to have that consciousness where you're conscious of everything that has happened prior to this current moment. Even for myself, my name is Dwayne Morgan. Morgan is my African name. I live with slavery every single day because I have no idea what my original last name would have been had it not been for the Atlantic slave trade. So when I meet there's so many Morgans from Jamaica, from a certain part of Jamaica, and I say, yeah, we're all family because we all were taken from somewhere, owned on a Morgan plantation, and now we have this last name that we all walk with and live with every single day, but none of us can trace our roots back because once we got into this particular period of history, all of that was taken away and we were given something new.
Africans, be proud of your past. Proud in the sense that slavery was a horrible thing, but proud that we were strong enough to survive it, and we are here today. Proud of who you are. Must understand that you must face your past, face those past demons that control us and cause us to be the way we were treated, and understand that we must ensure that the children to come after us have a better life. That's the strength, and that's understanding your history. Your closing comment, just tell people where you're from. Everything is coming on this week here, and let's go because we are running way past. Let's go.
So we're saying it's Cascadoo, Caribbean New Voices, International Festival of Spoken Word, featuring vocal voices of Canadian artists across latitudes. And on the vocal team we have Eddy, Anthony Bansfield, we have Eddy, the original one, we have Dwayne Morgan, both of them in studio today, we have Wendy Motion Graphic, and we have Osei, Alec Man-Child. Right? We are conducting workshops, 3 workshops at Nales from Monday to Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Monday afternoon from 2 p.m. we are on Nales Arcade, that's on Abercrombie Street, for opening showcase featuring vocals. Thursday afternoon, we are at Woodford Square, 3 to 5, Guerrilla Poetry. And then we head straight to Pandemonium Panyard at Belmont for Word in the Yard from 7 p.m. to 10. And we close off in style at Normandy Under the Trees, Friday night, 7 p.m. for Voices Under the Trees. That's at a cost of $50, but all the other events are free and open to the public.
And if anybody want to contact you, how?
479-4510.
And that's 479-4510. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you today for being part of this program. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in. Make your point.
Yeah, I want to thank our sponsors, the Artist Council of
Canada
Council.
Council for
Canada Council for the Arts.
Right, the Canada Council for the Arts. Normandy Hotel, Nales, Policy Corporation, Pandemonium, and of course the Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism.
And don't forget, Power 102.
Power 102, there you go.
Power 102.
Really appreciate you. Appreciate you.
No problem, so thank you very much for being here. So come out and support these brothers with Cascadoo during the course of this week, and on the 18th at the waterfront. Come and support the Ministry of Diversity under the production and the producer Davlin Thomas, and the African Anti-Suppression Movement, and also the Center for Justice. Come out and support this situation as we come forward. And let me give the closing number, the number for the African Anti-Suppression Movement. The telephone number is 394-1713. That's 394-1713. 394-1713. And the email for the Center for the African Anti-Suppression Movement is africanasm@gmail.com. That's africanasm@gmail.com. The Center for Justice, tt@gmail.com, and the telephone number is 624-7347, and the telephone number to come to give, to make a donation, because we're trying to raise 10 million TT dollars for the Center for Justice. We're starting the Hannah Lender Fund. The number at the FCB, any FCB can go and put some money for the Center for Justice. Be part of it. Do something. Be part of it. Do something. Be part of it. And the number is 1434323. Remember, let us not have racism against any race, but to support each other to achieve our goals. Ladies and gentlemen, I love my country.
And from Eddy, please know that I, like my Muslim brother, I am Muslim. Angel, I got your message for you. Alright, okay. Up next, fair play, Richard Norrie. And I see gorgeous gal Tennille Tobias in the studio.